Hello and welcome to the aid station. I've been wanting for many months during the aid station to head to Japan, and I'm so excited today to be heading to Tokyo, where we get to meet Osamu Uemura, the commercial R&D lead of ASICS Corporation. Great to see you, Osamu.
Great to see you.
Thanks so much for making the time. And, we caught up last week and had a bit of a chat. And you've got an amazing story. You've obviously grown up in Japan, but you've worked overseas. You've been in ASICS offices there. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your story, please?
Thank you. First of all, I'm happy to join this podcast and thank you so much for inviting me. So here's my stories, my background. So my name is Osan and I'm from Japan, and I studied sports management in college. But after the college, I worked for insurance company, professional soccer team, and a non-profit organizations. So first, nearly 10 years, I used to be like a sales and a marketing professionals. But like 4 years ago, I switched the direction and moved to the United States for my MBA. And after the school, I joined the ASICS Digital at Boston in the United States. And since then, I'm in like a digital R&D team. So try to create some new digital services or like finding some interesting gadgets and some of the collaborations. That's like what I'm doing right now.
Fantastic. And, collaboration is obviously key in these times. And you're working on a really exciting project, which is just launched in the next couple of days. Tell us a little bit as you lead up to that. What's life been like in Japan during COVID times? What do you do day to day? What's the situation? Are you in your office at the moment? It looks like it. Or are you working from home? What's life been like?
So last year, I moved back to Japan. I mean, like Tokyo, and so I managed some of the projects, especially digital service, including point programs, and most recently, it's virtual run. It's a pretty common, getting the popular right now instead of a real in-person learning events. So that's a kind of a situation right now, and um, can I keep talking?
Yeah, keep going. That's fine. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Uh, so regarding a point program, we have as a ASICS, we launched one ASICS membership. It's like a global membership for entire ASICS groups, and in Japan, it's only place for people loving the points. So we launched a point program to engage with more ASICS users. And then recently, as I mentioned, virtual run is getting popular since in-person event was canceled so many. So what I'm doing is a more bring some new values or a new benefit for racers or runners instead of the no running events. And then in general, nobody come to the office. Most of the people from work from home, but I'm live nearby to my office, so occasionally I come to the office and use my office as my house. So that's easy to switch my work time and then my personal time. So that's the kind of situation in Tokyo.
Yeah, right. And so in terms of getting out and about, people are out active, life has pretty much returned to normal, or is there still some, obviously people aren't working so much from offices, but are there lockdowns, people wearing masks, I guess? There's quite a lot of that happening still.
I think there's no lockdown right now, but still getting back to normal. So everyone wear the masks, and then people hesitate to go to bars or restaurants. People care a social distance with others, and but recently our governments push some some of the new policy, new activation. So give us some incentive to the people to go out and then eat something, help the travel agency or tourists or like hotels. So maybe like a next in this month or like a next couple months, we are getting back to normal, I guess.
Wow, that sounds great. And I guess from an industry perspective, you've spoken about virtual events. You've just launched the ASICS Ekiden virtual race, which is fantastic. I'm a huge fan. As you can see, my ASICS shirt. It's one of the brands that I used to race in when I was at uni. I've worked with ASICS out of Singapore and in the region. We created the ASICS Relay with them, which was so wonderful. And obviously, ASICS has this massive tradition, or Ekiden has this massive tradition in Japan, which ASICS is very involved in. So you've launched that virtual event, and I'd love you to talk about that in a moment. But what's happening on the ground? Are there any events happening across Japan, little events, or any bigger events that have happened in the last few weeks, or look like maybe happening over the next few months?
Well, to be honest, I think in the next few months, there's no real running events happening. There's a bunch of soccer games, football games with a limited number of the attendees. But for running events, it's just still like a few in-person events, and it's pretty small, less than like 500 people, or they set some time gap between like a small group, and like how to say, it's kind of like cadence start or something.
Okay.
Yeah. So one part start early, and then maybe 5 seconds or 10 seconds next team start, and those kind of could be like a alternative for the real race right now. And then we were talking with like some of the running race organizers in next spring. And then even like next spring, big marathon organizer, they believe in-person race not get back.
Wow.
So we still planning to how to bring the some of the new value for by the budget run and then for the runners. That's the kind of situation right now.
Right. And obviously a massive running culture in Japan. I've been fortunate enough to been there a few times and been at the Tokyo Marathon, which is an incredible event. So you've seen, like many other parts of the world, this massive growth in running. There's people getting out on the streets running more than before.
Sure. Yeah, that's definitely yes. And even like in the quarantine times, everyone go out and then try to run in with a mask, wearing the masks,
Yeah.
and then try to keep the like a social distance. People get up early or like stay late and then running in the parks, and that's kind of like a normal situations. And then as a ASICS group, we have like a running app. It's called like a Runkeeper, and
Yeah.
then Runkeeper getting more users than ever like in the past 2 years or 3 years. And then people are getting more active, and yeah, it's happening in everywhere in the world.
Yeah, fantastic. And Osamu, you spoke about your ASICS Ekiden Relay. You mentioned, and we're all aware, this explosion of virtual events all over the world. And one of the big challenges now is people getting some kind of point of difference. It's just like one after another, the same thing. So it seems like, in many ways, a masterstroke in terms of coming up with the team concept, people wanting to connect. Tell us a little bit about the app and some of the challenges you've gone through over building that over the last few months. I imagine it's been many late nights and lots of meetings and getting it to market, and it literally just launched last week, if I'm correct. I'd love to hear some of the background to that.
Thank you. Yeah. So as a ASICS, we saw a lot of like runners. They lost the opportunity for running from this past spring and then maybe this fall. So we definitely think about like how we can help or like support like all the runners wearing any kind of shoes. And so we try to make some campaign. It's called Run to Feel. So in the everywhere you can just running and then you feel something. So we definitely help you to running and then get out. So at the end of the campaign, we launch. It's called ASICS World Ekiden. Ekiden is like relay. So this race, you need like a the one team consists of the 6 members and also running for 42K. It's a full marathon distance, so you can communicate with the other team members, and it's definitely good for the team buildings, and then you don't feel any loneliness while running in the parks or for the long distance. We definitely happy to any runners, any sports fans to join the. It's a free, so join the Ekiden and having the fun time.
Sounds great. So where can people sign up for that?
Yeah, you can do it.
Yeah, just on the ASICS website?
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
ASICS website. Yeah.
Fantastic. That's great. That's great. I'm interested. You're obviously the R&D lead, so clearly a leadership role. I always like to, on the aid station, talk about leadership. Are there any great mentors you've had? Are there any kind of leadership principles you apply when you're leading your team that you'd like to share with the viewers, please?
Yeah. So right now, since last year, I manage the one people, and then my team is a pretty small, so I'm not decide I don't have like any huge leadership decision or something, but at a daily base, I give some advice to the my fellow co-workers and the folks. So my principle is make it simple. Especially for the younger generation, when they face some tough questions or issues, they really upset or think, you know, think not simply. I mean, they think too much.
Mm-hmm.
But at once break down each issues or problem, you just find the each solutions, and then you just get things done a one by one.
Yeah.
So make it simple, and then make a simple presentation, simple conversation, questions. Always make it simple is one of the my core values. And
I love.
then also yeah. So you mentioned mentors. One when I was in the insurance company, I had great mentors. I still have keep the relationship with him. So once a year or twice a year, I met him, and then even he right now we don't have any common situation right now because he has different companies, and but he always some of the answers and then some guidance for me, and then one of the a great tip from him is do the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a clear message, but whenever you face a tough situation or people care about a title or political internal politics, especially in the large companies, but what's good for the users or workers, other team members. Always prioritize those stakeholders, and then commit with top of the priority and do the right things. That's a kind of principle.
Right, that's
For
wonderful
yeah,
insight.
yeah.
Really, really wonderful insight. I love those little snippets there. Keep it simple, and I think it's also not only in a planning thing, but right now in these times, it's also this whole thing of appreciating the simple things in life. We get kind of caught up on this rat race, and there's so many wonderful, simple things that we sometimes miss, both in our communication and our appreciation. And the whole thing about mentors, it's one of the things I often get asked by young people coming into the industry. They said, if you had your time over again, what would you do differently? And I always say I would get more mentors at a younger age. I waited too long into my career to get mentors, but there's such a value of mentors, and there's so many amazing experienced people there that are very happy to mentor and share. So that's wonderful that you've got a mentor that's helping you. And I'd love to kind of move on to end as time's flown by. I always like to end with something inspirational. I'm sure you've got plenty of inspirational stories, but is there one particular piece of inspiration that you'd like to share with people, please?
Yeah, I met a lot of people. It's like as I talked like previous questions, and I just started my management experience like last year or something. I mean, officially started my management experience, and then I'm a human being, one of the persons. So even like I educate or like I teach something to the other people's, my emotion is like always going up and downs. Before starting management, I'm always be calm and then not too much emotional. But after starting management, I I I really care about like my emotional flexibility or like up and downs. And then I think like after like starting the COVID-19, I started watching like some like a YouTube video, and then I found like some meditations. So right now like I'm so inspired by like meditation, and then not yoga, but like a Japanese monk talked a lot on the YouTube video. They have a video clip, and then they say like meditation is like not getting some achievement or something. It's control your emotion,
Yeah.
put your emotion into the right directions, and creates like a emotional stabilities.
Mhm.
That's like a kind of like a strong word for me under kind of these situations. Everyone reacts to the something happening in these situations, but maybe like a meditation is you know one of the methods to keep myself calm, and also uh maybe like make my life better.
It's a wonderful tip. I myself try to meditate every day, and it's
Oh
amazing how
really?
many hugely experienced people. I was listening to an interview the other day with the late Kobe Bryant, and he shared the story of when Phil Jackson moved from the Chicago Bulls to the LA Lakers, and he got all the team into a room, and they used to practice mindfulness and meditation. And it was, these superstar players had never been exposed to that, and he said it was just incredible the impact that it had on his game time. So yeah, congratulations! It's wonderful. It's super helpful, and yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. Osama, it's been wonderful speaking to you. Thank you so much for making the time and sharing, and all the best with the ongoing rollout of the Ekiden app, and have a great rest of the week ahead, and the time ahead. Thank you so much for your
Thank you for
time.
having me, Chris.
Wonderful. Great to meet you. Thanks so much.
Thank you.